So I tried filming an intro to this a little while ago and it was a little all over the place, so I'm gonna try again. Welcome back to my channel. This is going to be the beginning of a new series that I'm starting, and it is called the Publishing Diaries. I think that's like my working title for now. It's not very creative or inventive, but it's basically what it sounds like. It is now February 3rd. I believe I said it was the 2nd in the stuff I filmed before this, but that's not true. It is Wednesday, February 3rd, 2021. This is part 1, and the story behind this is that there was a creative nonfiction piece that I wrote. I started it for a class in September 2020, so last semester. I was kind of working on it over the course of the semester, on and off. And then I took a sizable break from it because I was so tired of looking at it, and I don't think I could even see what was wrong with it anymore. So I put it aside for a couple months, and I'm just now coming back to it because, drum roll please, I'm going to try and get it published. And I thought about whether or not I should post this part before I actually send it out to places and before I hear back, because I was wondering, you know, am I gonna look really stupid if I say that I'm working on this and I send it out and then nobody takes it? But I feel like I'm just gonna have to make room for that possibility. It could happen, certainly. It's really competitive to try and get especially creative work published, and there are really long waiting periods for most publications. So I thought I'm just going to take the leap of faith and document this process, at least for myself, if not for others. Last night I went on a little bit of a Brene Brown kick, and I watched her Netflix special and both her TED Talks, and I kind of had heard her name tossed around a lot, like, oh, she has all this great stuff on vulnerability and courage, and her TED Talks are really famous and have been watched like millions of times. I wasn't sure really what to expect. I'm actually gonna put you down because my arm is tired. Okay, that's better. Okay, so yeah, so I watched all of that stuff, and I had heard her name kind of tossed around a lot, that she does all this stuff, this really great stuff with vulnerability and courage, and that people say that her TED Talks like change their lives, and their therapists have recommended them and all this stuff. So I thought, okay, fine, I'll bite the bullet and I'll check it out and see if it's overhyped. And I think a lot of what she says is not necessarily super new or like super different from a lot of stuff that I've heard and that I've like pushed my friends to do. I think I'm always that person who's like to other people is always like, go for it, like put yourself out there. If you don't get it, it's okay. And I believe a lot in friends and the people around me to like succeed and to, you know, not be afraid to fail and to push yourself to do the things that scare you or that you think that you might not get. But unfortunately, I'm actually terrible at doing that for myself. So I think I've had a lot of cases where I've had teachers who said that I should submit things for prizes, and I've not done it because I was afraid to fail, or I've had just these moments where I could have gone for something and the fear of not getting it kept me from going for it. And I'm trying not to do that anymore. So I think this is kind of a small step in that direction. And if I don't get it, I'll still be happy that I made the effort and that I tried. So the first piece that I'm going to be trying to get published, the first piece that I'm trying to get published is this creative nonfiction piece that I told you about. The second one is my senior thesis. So I wrote my thesis on Milkman, as I mentioned in my January wrap-up video, and I'm meeting with my professor probably this week or next week to talk about that paper and to hear her feedback. I do know that I passed, so that's wonderful news, but I am curious to get it published and about the process and how to go about that. So that's something I'm going to be bringing up with her and thinking about moving forward. So yeah, what I've been doing today is editing my creative nonfiction piece. It's the first time I've looked at it since December, so I definitely saw some new things and some things that I'd like to cut. So I think taking the time off was definitely great. There's still that like voice in the back of my head, that like doubting voice that's like, oh, I don't know if this is great. I don't know if, it's worth doing this, but I'm trying to not listen to that voice and I'm trying to shut it out as much as I can. Oh no. Okay, so yeah, that's what I've been doing today. It is currently around noon. Yeah, it's 12:15. And so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take a little bit of a break from editing since I've been doing that for a little while. And I'm actually going to be doing some more research around publications and where I want to submit. So I'm going to show you how I've been doing that now. Okay, so this is what it looks like. This is what I'm using. It's called newpages.com. This is a website I was informed about through my creative nonfiction professor, and he suggested that I use it as a way to find publications where I might submit this piece. So basically how it works is you can narrow your resources by type, so online, EPUB, print, if you only want to be published in one of those ways, and then here you can say, what genre is your work and what are they going to accept? So fiction, nonfiction, poetry, art, photography, cross-genre, etc., etc. And you can select multiple if you feel like your work falls into one or more of those categories. So I've selected nonfiction, and actually that's really helpful. So I have about 237 search results. That is actually not that many compared to like so many more places I think publish poetry. So it's been helpful to have it narrowed down at least a little bit, and then several more like within this category only publish things within a certain word count or whatever. And then when you go to the page for the publication, it takes you to this page, which basically has all the information you need about the publication, and then it also has contact information sometimes, even though here it's blank, and then you can open up the website for that publication. And then I've just been going through all of these and kind of scanning through the website, looking at the about pages. Sorry, I thought I should turn you around because now it's just me talking and it's just gonna be the same page open, so you don't need to see that. Then what happens is I just go through all of these publications, and I've been trying to read a little bit of what they've published before, just to try and get an idea of the kinds of things they publish, whether they would be likely to publish something that I wrote in terms of genre, in terms of voice, trying to see if my work would maybe be a good fit for them or not so much as I can narrow it. So I don't want to be submitting when I know they're only looking for work from X group of people, or they're only looking for work that's under 500 words, or whatever the case may be. The more I can kind of call this group and make sure that I'm submitting to places that are more likely to accept it, I think that's taking out some of the legwork. Obviously, this process overall is, time consuming and not always the most fun, but I figure if I can do more of that work up front, then it'll be easier in the end to have a smaller group. I now have a working list in my email of places that I'm thinking of submitting to. So I made a draft email, and then I sent myself a bunch of links from the pages for the publications I was looking at, the ones that I felt like were more likely. And then I have it kind of tiered in terms of places I want to submit to first that maybe seem a little bit more difficult. Then if I don't get those, I'll knock down to ones that seem easier, and also with deadlines. So the submission periods for all of these publications are also different, so that's something else to take into account, especially if you're thinking about submitting somewhere. It's not always easy to just like send in your work at the moment, because a lot of them have different reading periods, and sometimes they will close submissions early if they get too many. So yeah, those are all things to think about, I guess. So yeah, I guess that's all I have to say for now. I think what I'm going to do is continue working away at this list of results for a little while. I am currently on page 3, I believe, of 5. So I'm gonna try and get through the rest of the results, hopefully by today, and then I can start kind of making a spreadsheet or some kind of organized way to keep track of all the publications and dates for when I need to submit and when I need to be done editing. So yeah, I'm going to do that now, and I will check in with you later. Okay, so the time is now 3:37, and I think I last checked in with you around noon. Since then, I have just been going through publications and going through the search results and looking at submissions and trying to note down publications which might be a good fit for me. I am now approaching, I think, like around 50 on my list. So these are places that I think that like maybe I have somewhat of a shot to get published in, and that my work might be a good fit for them. 2 of them actually seemed like they might be a good fit for my thesis as well. So I'm going to talk to my professor at some point about those, but that was a nice surprise because I didn't know if there were going to be any that had like some overlap with, you know, creative work versus more scholarly work. So that was nice. Other than that, I am now on the last page of results. So I have about, I would say like probably 30 more publications to review. And then once I'm done with that, my plan is basically to go through all of the ones I've noted down. So I'm going to copy all of those into a doc and then collate them based on submission periods. So some of them are like February, March, some of them have submission periods that open in March, some of them are closer to like mid-spring, early summer. I'm only submitting to places that allow simultaneous submissions because I don't want to be in the situation where I'm just submitting one and then waiting for like several months, because a lot of them have pretty long, I mean they vary, but some have pretty long time frames for when you can hear back about your work. So for my anxious brain and to submit to as many places as I can, especially since like it might seem crazy to be submitting to, you know, 50 plus publications in a period of a few months, but the reality is that it's really competitive. Most of these journals are only publishing around 1 to 2% of submissions that they receive. So when you think about that, it becomes maybe slightly less crazy to think about submitting to that many places. So yeah, I'm going to take a bit of a break now since I've been at this for a little bit over 3 hours. I took a short break for lunch, but I think I'm going to go read my book for a bit, maybe do something kind of active, like a little bit of improv or a walk or something like that, because I think I just need to like do something that's not staring at a screen and researching. So I will come back probably in 2 hours or so, finish up this last page of results, and then start collating my list. Hi, I'm back again. It's just after 5 p.m. right now. The printer is making some noise, so sorry about that. But yeah, so I'm back again and I'm on my last page of results. I'm hoping this will only take me about an hour, and then I will set to work collating and creating my master doc. But yeah, that's what I'm doing now. Okay, so I just finished. I have been through all the results. I have my working list. I think it's like somewhere between 50 and 60 publications right now. It's about an hour since I last talked to you. It's like 6:15. I know I said I was going to like collate the list and organize it all tonight, but honestly, I am out of brain power right now, and all I want to do is like A, eat dinner, and B, not look at a screen for a while longer. And yeah, so I think I'll come back to that tomorrow or the next day. The next step will be to go through all the links that I have, do more intense research, reading through a bunch of their work and seeing if it's a good fit, kind of my second combing through, and then in addition, noting down submission period and kind of prioritizing the ones that are sooner rather than later, and also trying to make the choice whether to wait on some of the ones that I'd rather be published in or whether to submit early to the ones that I think are more likely. So I'm trying to figure out how to order that. I also want to know for this series, I know this was kind of vlog style today, and I think I'm notoriously bad at vlogging, so I apologize for that. But I think there will be more videos in the series that are not vlog based. I kind of want to do some sit down videos just based around, literary topics of discussion and the idea of publication, and the whole system and the politics of it, and all of that stuff that I find really interesting. So that's where I am for now. I will leave it there, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in part 2.